This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports. You're listening to TGI Sports Talk with your host Keith Angle on Northeast Streaming Sports.
Good morning, everybody. Keith Angle for TGI Sports Talk right here on Northeast Streaming Sports. Excuse me, I've got a bit of a bad cold today. We're gonna soldier on and try to get through the show here. I want to thank everybody for watching on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube this morning, and obviously our Roku viewers that will see this at noontime today. Please, if you're on Facebook, like and follow and share the show, get your friends invited so that we can continue to grow this community. And I do appreciate all the help that we've gotten in that regard. And Roku is really going well too. So we're really happy with a lot of that. And, follow all the shows on TGI Sports. On Northeast Streaming Sports Talk. Northeast Streaming Sports. Wow. Gonna be a rough one today, guys. I can tell you right now, I am like, hello, Carlos. Good morning. Suffering badly today, trying to get through the day, but gonna be a fun day. Championship Sunday in the NFL. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the coaching carousel and some of the moves that have been made that some of us will be happy about and some of us won't. We'll talk about Tom Brady here in a second. We'll be joined not until about 9:30 by Jim Biringer with a little NHL update. And at 10:25-ish, Mark Mancini from Mancini Media be in as well. We'll also talk about the Hall of Fame vote, which the Baseball Hall of Fame vote, which I'm very, very ticked off about. And if you'd see my vlog this week, you'll understand. And we'll talk a little bit more about that with Mark and with you guys as well, because I don't usually take opinions on the vlog, so we'll talk about it here this morning. Good morning, Rick Sherlock. How are you this morning? Good to see you. Perry Paul, welcome in the room, Perry. Good to have you with us this morning. And all of you that will join us as we go along. And again, I will apologize as my voice goes in and out. And if I have to mute for a cough, because I am really suffering with a bad cold. I did actually do a COVID test yesterday. And not one of the freebies, one of the ones that are accurate. And I am COVID free, so that's the good news. The big story of the day, guys, and Bob's here. Bob's a big Patriot fan. Good morning, Brett Cloutier. Good to see you this morning. Good to see all of you. We're going to start out, since we don't have Jim Biringer coming in. We usually start off with hockey because of his schedule, but we're going to jump right into the big story of the day, and one that's got me kind of ticked off. And, ESPN and Adam Schefter break the news yesterday about Tom Brady retiring. And now Brady's camp is out, and Father's emphatically denying that there's any decision has been made. Brady's told the Buccaneers no decision has been made. I don't doubt really that Tommy's walking away, to be honest with you. But to me, this is just another dig from ESPN, breaking this news, leaking the story, so he'll look bad here. Because I'm monitoring Facebook and Twitter yesterday as I'm lying, unable to do anything but cough and blow my nose. And social media is all up in arms because he's done this and upstaged in the NFL championship game weekend. And I'm like, Tom Brady didn't break the news. He didn't want this to come out if it's in fact true. It's ESPN again. Just, this has been a thorn in the Patriots side and Tom Brady's side in turn for years, and it's never going to end. As I just said, Carlos, it's not Tommy. Hasn't caused any drama. He didn't make any announcement. I know you're not saying he did, but it is the media. It's the media led by ESPN. Whether it's true or not. So having to feel like crap all day yesterday and now, and dealing with this nonsense from ESPN against, actually, I don't think that's actually accurate, Drew, because his people have all denied. Maybe I'm wrong, but I have not seen any tweet from TB12, which I actually follow. ESPN broke the story off sources. Now, it doesn't mean for somebody from TB12 didn't say something they should have. And if they did, whatever. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. I don't know. All I know is what I was, and again, I was in and out of it yesterday, so. He gets a chance to do this on his own terms. And ESPN even wants to take that away from him and make him look bad in the world of social media. And it's nonsense. And, and again, maybe and his agent and Brady camp are upset. Yes, they are ticked off that this news leaked. Now, if their people leaked it, well, shame on them. I haven't seen that report about TB12 tweeting this yesterday. Well, Adam Schefter, ESPN doesn't have to confirm anything. Just go back to Deflategate to what they got to confirm. Big Ben retired. Yeah, and he made the announcement, didn't he? On his own terms. So is Tommy walking away? Let's just talk about this situation for a second. Again, I'm ticked off about the whole thing. I don't doubt for a second, based on the comments I've read this week, that he's talked about his family and some of the things where he's let them down. Where he's failed his wife and his kids and not held up his part of bargains that were made. And, they've had some issues because of it. And I heard some words that I heard that he was satisfied with his season. Tom Brady doesn't use words like satisfied. When Tom Brady wins Super Bowls, he doesn't want to talk about them. He wants to talk about the next one. So do I think Tom Brady's walking away? I kind of do. And it's sad because, this is something you guys can love or hate Tom Brady, but this is something we will never see again. Never. Never. You're not going to see somebody go to 10 Super Bowls in their career and win 7 of them. Never. And that career was not, somebody commented, I don't know what I was reading yesterday. I don't know who it was from. I don't know if it's from one of my followers or not, because again, my head's a little foggy still. Hold on a second. So, I saw a comment yesterday about how he won with all these Hall of Fame players on both sides of the football. And listen, there's some great players on that team, and there will be a few Hall of Famers, mostly on the defensive side of the football, and Gronk. But who else has he played with that's going to be in a Hall of Fame on the offensive side of the football other than Gronk? Randy Moss, but Randy Moss they didn't win any championships with. So please don't tell me that that's what that's is all about. And Rick says, good morning, Commissioner. I assume he's talking Drew. So just on a little side note, welcome to the gosh, I don't know the name of the league off the top of my head, Drew. You can share it. Our fantasy baseball league that Drew is the commissioner of. No, he's not going anywhere. He's not going anywhere, Carlos. If he plays, he's playing in Tampa. I mean, I'm reading the New England message boards, and they're talking about how he's going to come back to New England for a year. That's not going to happen. Not going to happen. Let's see. Well, where's this from? As news broke that Tom Brady reportedly retiring after 22 seasons, his NFL company. Well, where's that quote from, Drew? If it's from ESPN, then please, I'm not going to even take it. I'll take it for the grain of salt that it's worth. We will never see another Tom Brady. this league is so hard to win year after year because of parity and the salary cap and things like that. And again, I'm not telling you that this was all Tom Brady. Tom Brady's a great player and a great leader, to go back to a conversation we were talking about the other day. But, thank you, Drew. The Nose Pickers Plus. That's the name of the fantasy baseball league. I need your guys' help today to carry me along, so I appreciate all the comments. Sports Illustrated, a little better source than ESPN, so maybe I'll give it some credence. If that's the case, then somebody there probably lost their job today. At TB12, I mean. So, again, what really always bothers me is, it was similar with Derek Jeter, and people in this country don't like sports is so full of bad apples and bad acts and guys that just don't get it, that we don't root against those guys. We root against Tom Brady and Derek Jeter and guys that do get it and do the right things and should be emulated for their dedication to the sport that they play and the teams that they play on. And it just is what it is. So is he going to walk away? I think there's still a chance he doesn't. He's not the player that he was. We were talking about this. I was my little guest shot this morning on the Mac and Jack Big Sunday Football Show with Mac and Jack and former Cowboy Jim Jeffcoat. If you don't check that show out no more on Sundays, before you come here anyway, catch the first hour of them. Jim Jeffcoat's a great guy and contributes a lot to that show. And I love going back and forth with him a little bit. And we talked about this. And Tom Brady, as great as he was this year and last year, he's not the player that he was. I mean, you just go back to last week. I mean, yes, he led the Tampa Bay Bucks back again from a huge deficit, 27-3, tied the game at 27, but they got down 27-3 in large part because of Brady's inability to move the offense. And he's throwing a ball at people's feet. And yes, it was a pass rush, but so what? His job is still to move the football and hit receivers. And he had some guys open that he missed. And the Tom Brady from 4 or 5 years ago would not have done that. Even a 40-year-old Tom Brady wouldn't have done that. Let's see what the USA Today's got. World Sunday, congratulations. They sent out a tweet that has a long listing of something. Well, maybe they jumped on with the congratulations, Drew. I don't really know. I'll look into this a little bit more after the show. But believe me, I've been checking stuff out all morning as well as yesterday as much as I could. And I didn't see that story. So again, I'm not doubting that what you're putting up here is accurate. I just got to look into it more and see what the timeline was on this. So again, I don't think, based on what you're just showing me, based on this one, I would say that they jumped on the retirement announcement and tweeted out congratulations. That's a little different than breaking the story. So let's just look into it. Oh my God, Carlos. We just can't. Oh God, I can't talk about Colin Kaepernick while I'm talking about Tom Brady. I just can't do it. Sterling Sharp was a great player, by the way. And I don't think anybody's really missing Colin Kaepernick all that much. So I can't have a conversation about Tom Brady and include Colin Kaepernick in any way. Sterling Sharp, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt a little there, but I can't do it with the other. So that's one of the big things going on today. Let's talk a little more. What else can we talk about? Let's talk about last week's games real quick. I want to get into the coaching situation, but we'll do that, I think, after. Oh, God, I got stuff falling over my desk. The coaching situation a little bit after we talk to Jim Biringer about the NHL. Let's talk about last week's games a little bit. Not political, Carlos. I'm talking about purely it has zero political motivation in my comment just now. Evaluating players and accomplishments and what they meant to the game, please do not bring Colin Kaepernick into the conversation with Tom Brady. Can't be done. Drew says, yeah, all right. Yeah, I'm sure a shot was lost for sure. Union College coach. I need some context there, Perry. Help me out, and we'll certainly talk about it. Let me talk about Carlos. What do you got here? Guy had skills and was great for San Francisco. He played in one Super Bowl, lost. Whatever. And gosh, I'm not going to go down this road. Yeah, I know Bennett's a hockey coach. I just don't know why we're bringing it up. I don't like Garoppolo. I mean, again, I don't know what any of that's got to do with Tom Brady. None of that has anything to do with Tom Brady. Oh. Anyway, let's move on to a couple things about in the NFL from last week. We saw some great games. Every game ended in a score, 2 overtime games. Buffalo and Kansas City, a great shootout. Buffalo fans complaining about the OT rules, but guess what? Change the rules then. Don't complain about the rules that you, as organizations, have voted for and kept into place. Now, maybe you didn't vote for it, Buffalo fans, but that's the rules. And if you stop Kansas City even one time on defense, especially with 13 seconds left in the game, you're not in the position to lose that game in overtime. Now, I don't necessarily agree with the rule. I really don't. But I don't want to see I don't know what the rules should be. I really don't. They've tried a bunch of different things. I think maybe the best course of action here, first of all, stop complaining about the rule that's in place today. Everybody plays by the same rules. Play better on defense. You don't go to overtime and you win the game. Find a running back to be able to close out games, where one place I had to agree with Carlos on. Buffalo's a really good football team, but you got to be able to run the ball to close out these games. And they didn't do it. So you end up in overtime. You lost by the rules that are in place. Suck it up, go get your running game better, and then come and talk to me. Next show. Oh, we can talk about, we'll definitely get in the union. We'll talk to Jim Biringer a little bit. I got to talk to Jim and see, he's my hockey guy, Perry, and how much he's into college and follows him that closely, I don't know. But I'm going to find out, and we'll certainly talk to Jim maybe at 9:30 a little bit about it, for sure. And as Mark says, relevance, no Kaepernick. Correct. As far as the Bills go, play defense. Accurate. I'm not going anymore with Colin anymore. Sorry, Carlos. Even your point, Drew. Even Andy Reid said the rules should be changed. He was very upset when he lost to the Patriots. 4 years ago, I guess now. On the same situation, and they couldn't get the rule changed. 13 seconds left. Should have played defense. Agreed, Perry. Bills got nobody to blame for losing this game but themselves. Right? Again, can't close out the game by running the football. They got to throw, which was fine. Their offense was awesome. Josh Allen was awesome. And they kept scoring touchdowns, but they weren't taking time off the clock. No, they lost because they couldn't run the ball. Good morning, Kenny Gifford. You're a little late today. Anyway, my solution to the overtime issue, I should change this banner, right? We're not talking about him anymore. I started to do that. Let's just put up, we got some news and notes. My solution to the overtime situation would be each team will get the ball one time and you start from your own 20. Not like college, you start at the other team's 25. And then after X amount of times, you're going to go for 2 points every time. It's just stupid. It goes on forever. And it's not football anymore. But if you give the ball, each team a chance from their own 20, might be a little different. Or just keep the rules the same. Or go back to the old rule. Sudden death, first score wins. We changed it because that wasn't fair. Whatever. So anyway, great games. Leading into great games this weekend, which we'll get into certainly in great detail today. We'll talk a little bit about it right now. I'm going to jump around a little bit today. The games today, Cincinnati and Kansas City, I think are the first game. Let's see. It's funny when the Patriots aren't playing, I don't even know which game is first. I believe it's Cincinnati. It is Cincinnati, Kansas City at 3:00 and then, or 3:15. I'm not sure if this time is the actual start date or not. Their start time. I think it's 3:15 and 6:45. They've got 3:00 and 6:30 on ESPN, but they're very good at supplying misinformation. In case you haven't noticed, not that I hold a grudge or can't let things go, but it'll be an awesome match. I think these will be great games. I really do. Cincinnati's got a puncher's chance because they've got Joe Burrow, who is really coming into his own, and they've got some weapons in Chase and Higgins and Mixon and their other wide receivers. Names escaping me at the moment, and probably I'll mispronounce. Ozoma. Great weapons. They'll score some points today. The key is going to be them stopping Mahomes. Keep him in the pocket and pressure him is a way to beat him, obviously. And protect your own quarterback at the same time. If Joe Burrow gets sacked 9 times today, they're not going to win this game. So I give Cincinnati a puncher's chance here. I mean, I am going to take the 7 or 7.5 points, whatever I'll get by the time that we bet it. And Boyd, good point here. I left out Boyd. Drew points out, so that's a good comment. I'm going to take. I think Kansas City will win this game, but I think like 36-30, and I do believe that Cincinnati will have their chances to win this game. And if Cincinnati should get ahead in the fourth quarter here, they've got the ability to run the football and close it out, where Buffalo did not. What else we got here? Ironic the Bills lose their OC, but still have the same DC. Yeah, I know. It's ironic, too, that Leslie Frazier is getting all these job interviews where he did a horrendous job as Rick Sherlock. I think Rick Sherlock will attest to in his first go-around. Not that coaches don't learn. Bill Belichick, perfect example. And maybe their second time around they do better. But I don't know how Leslie Frazier is actually being mentioned for all these games. Giants we'll talk about this in a little bit after the hockey. I want to get into the coaching stuff. I don't think the Giants really made a bad move, to be honest with you, but we'll talk about that later. We mentioned that. Carlos, I'd rather have the Bills staff than the one you had last year. We'll talk about McCarthy too when we get into no, I'm not angry. Well, I was angry. If you see me talk, first of all, I feel like crap, Kenny. If you weren't here, I've been suffering badly. I couldn't even make it to my mother-in-law's birthday party yesterday because I was in the I was in the chair sleeping most of the day, and I didn't want to get anybody else sick, obviously. And I'm still well below par today, so that might be part of my look. And the rest of it is, anytime you hear me talking about ESPN, I'm going to look angry because ESPN is such a, oh God. They make CNN look like, brilliant freaking journalists over there. Let me tell you. Giants should have robbed the Steelers and Giants. Well, I'm not going to. Well, let's finish chatting about, I want to finish chatting a little bit about the games today. And we're going to go back there with Mark Mancini later. Maybe get our picks from Jim Biringer as well. But I do think, as I said, the Bengals can close out this game. On the other side, and again, I'll take any of your commentary. And the coaches stuff, we'll get into that. We'll get into that conversation a little bit in a second. Let me put up Rick's. Yeah. I said all along that if Colin Kaepernick could play, he'd be in the league. So this isn't a political commentary by me, by any stretch of imagination. I can like or not like his politics, don't care. I separate sports and politics all the time. All the time. Now, I don't want my players, getting political if they're the leaders on the team, which again can be a problem. So if you want to take it from that standpoint, I might have a problem with it, but I can separate the two. Colin Kaepernick, and I have said this since the day he got released by San Francisco, that he would be playing in the league. This is a league that keeps murderers and women abusers on rosters forever. If he could play, he'd be in the league, and he would have been in the league. Won Super Bowl and lost. And he was terrible afterwards. He was not a good quarterback. Let's not forget Jim Harbaugh coached that team. We're probably not going to get into the NFC chat, but we'll get into it later. They're in the playoffs today, so I guess it's kind of relevant based on what we're talking about. Jim Harbaugh gimmicked up that offense with the pistol, and they had a great year when they got to the Super Bowl. They lost the Super Bowl. And after that, the league caught up with the whole pistol. You saw teams trying to copy it, and the defenses caught up with it, and that gimmick did not work anymore. So that's why Colin Kaepernick is not in football anymore, because his accuracy was horrendous. His decision-making was horrendous. And that's it. That's why Colin Kaepernick is not in the league. It's got nothing to do with his politics. Maybe some teams, yes. But in general, again, in a league full of criminals, you're telling me they wouldn't keep him out if he could take him to a Super Bowl? He got there based on a gimmick. And yes, we'll talk about Harbaugh. And I was finally going to get an interview. We're all over the place here today, but that's fine. Harbaugh's finally going to get an interview with the Vikings. He has not interviewed for any of these jobs so far that I'm aware of. And maybe he will be the Vikings coach, because he's getting into the talks here late because the lights went out. I don't know if that's the case either. Lights went out for both teams. Did it change momentum? Maybe. But, let's talk about today's game real quick a little bit before we jump into anything else. San Francisco against the Rams. Against line, I think, is 3 or 3.5 still. 3.5, I believe. At least it was this morning on DraftKings. This game is Rams have lost to the 49ers 6 times in a row now. 3 years in a row. They have not beat the Rams or the 49ers. They had them down 17-0 here just a few weeks ago in the last game of the regular season. But I think the Rams are going to learn from their mistakes of last week. I hope. They let Tampa Bay back in that game, but Matthew Stafford showed me something. I had Matthew Stafford near the bottom of my confidence rankings of playoff quarterbacks. And now he's got 2 playoff wins under his belt. He's got a game where when it was on the line, he came up huge. And 1-6. Glad to see, again, I've been all over Stafford for a long time. And Alan could tell you that I think I was dissing him even during the game last week. But by the time the game was over, I have to admit, he was a huge part of them winning, both getting that 27-3 lead. And then when they had blown the lead, again, I can't blame Stafford for blowing that lead when it was, fumbles and all kinds of bad stuff was happening to the Rams. But when the game was on the line with 27-27, he took them down the field and scored a touchdown to win the game. So that will be that. 1-6. I think Kenny is talking about this comment here. He hopes the Vikings do get Harbaugh. And I believe 1-6, he's talking about Harbaugh's record against Ohio State, if I had to decipher that. The Shanahan Bowl. Here's the thing. Carlos going to have a problem here because I think he doesn't like either coach. Not sure, Carlos. You can comment on that. I listen. Yeah, McVay is 2-7 against the Niners, 0-6 the last 3 years. So obviously he started 101. You can see my Perth mathematics education coming into play here, which I'm sure Rick and Kenny can appreciate. McVay's too good a coach. The Rams are too good a team. I don't know how the 49ers are doing it. They're doing it with mirrors. They got a good defense. I'm not a Jimmy G fan. I do not think Jimmy G has really, done anything necessarily to help them in their quest for the Super Bowl. They try to keep him from losing football games for them. A lot of it is putting the ball in DBS. Oh, gosh. See, I'm telling you. I can't blame my age today. It's my DB Samuel. Jesus, that's what I was going to say. Debo Samuel. They get his ball in his hands, although he was a bit ineffective last week, except for a few plays. The Rams are too good, too much talent. I'm not a big fan of Beckham, Odell Beckham Jr., but, he's come up really big since he went to the Rams. And he's played within the system, and he's made some big catches. This has been I don't know who's had a better renaissance, I guess, if you want to talk about it that way, on the Rams through this later part of the season and the playoffs so far, whether it's Beckham or Stafford. Thank you, Drew. Oh, man. I think I've blown my brains out of my nose the last 2 days. Debo. What I said first time. DB. Oh, God, I know. I already took a hit in fantasy baseball. Yes, there's way too many of us there, Rick. You and me. Too many, as Drew said. The Rams did go for it all, and I wasn't sold on this whole thing bringing Stafford in and thinking that was what was going to put them over the top. But so far, I've been proven wrong. The team has played really well since it went through a little midseason slump. They lost it. They did lose to the 49ers in the last game of the season, regular season. And Stafford has played very, very well in the first 2 weeks of the playoffs. Well, numbers-wise, yes, Kenny. But again, as I continue to point out, numbers don't always mean anything. Or mean everything. Sorry, they mean something. In watching him play games, never impressed because he would not come up big in big moments, which means something important. Yes, and Von Miller. Drew, bringing in Von Miller here during the season was a huge move for the Rams and showed that they're all in. And Von Miller, he's not the player that he was 3 or 4 years ago by any stretch, but he played a great game last week. And with him and Aaron Donald on that defensive side of the football, they rushed the quarterback like nobody's business. And Stafford's going to have to, around Stafford. Jimmy G is going to have to withstand that this week. And I don't think Jimmy G is the guy who's going to be able to get this team over the top. Let's not forget 3 years ago when the 49ers went to the Super Bowl to play the Chiefs in an NFC Championship game, Jimmy G threw the ball 8 times. And I think that's about all you need to know about the confidence that this team has in his ability to throw the football. And they don't have any other choices. They're not going to throw Trey Lance in there, who's not ready for this level of competition. Maybe next year he will be, but he wasn't this year. He's been good, but maybe. Yeah, he's a good quarterback. I've never taken anything away from Stafford as far as his physical skills are very, very good. Very good. But it takes more than that to win in the NFL, as we all know. And maybe this year is the year to get them over the top. I'm very happy. But he didn't play with terrible teams the whole time, Kenny. I mean, look at he'd been to the playoffs. Most of the time they were bad teams. I'll give you that. But they did have good years where, again, I didn't see Matthew Stafford step up. His numbers would look good every Monday morning. But I just don't have that. I don't have that. I've never had that feeling like, oh, I got Matthew Stafford. We're in control here. We got this. And maybe I'm spoiled for 20 years of Tom Brady. Right. But I can think of a lot. And I had this conversation with Carlos on Friday. I can think of a lot worse quarterbacks than Matthew Stafford who have won Super Bowls. Now, they were on really good teams. Don't get me wrong. But these guys help make these guys really good teams. Well, that was a different story, by the way. I will say yes. The answer would be yes. They didn't have faith in their quarterback throwing the ball in 60-mile-an-hour winds. So, yes, that was a one-game aberration. Don't forget that this rookie quarterback of the Patriots was throwing the ball 50 times a game early in the season, which is not a recipe for winning football either, as we saw. So, yeah, to answer your question, that night they had no confidence in their quarterback. I agree. And they won the football game because the Bills had confidence in their quarterback, and it bit them in the ass. So that was a game plan decision more than anything else. And, I mean, I don't think he threw the ball 20 times last week, did he? Not much more. So, again, anybody who might be just joining us, welcome. We're kind of debating some of the he won the game. Yeah, won the game. He didn't win the Super Bowl. And a lot of the reason they didn't win the Super Bowl was that Jimmy G did not have a very good game in the Super Bowl, especially in the second half. San Francisco was in control of this game. And San Francisco let them get back in it. So, yeah, look, I'm not a Jimmy G fan. I wasn't when he was with the Patriots. I mean, he always got hurt at bad times, and he's been hurt a lot in San Francisco. I'm just not, again, different strokes for different folks, right? I'm not a fan. I will agree, Drew, and I appreciate you guys helping me carry me along here today because I need some help to get through these 2 hours. I was hoping Jim Biringer would be here to talk about the NHL by now, but Jim was playing hockey this morning, so maybe they went to overtime. Drew, you're right. They get too much blame and credit. But the quarterback still is a leader of the team and still needs to be a guy who can make big plays in big moments. And the team shouldn't have to play for the quarterback not to lose games. That's no way for a winning organization to be able to go about winning Super Bowls. A handful of teams have done that. Maybe one team has done that. And that might be maybe there's more. But the Ravens come to mind, winning with Trent Dilfer. But you better have one of the best defenses in the history of football, which they did, including everybody's favorite double homicide suspect. Niners didn't score an offensive touchdown. There you go. Nope. Matt Ryan's a really good quarterback. He borderline Hall of Famer, probably. Great numbers. Played a great game that day. Atlanta loses because, as I mentioned before about Buffalo, they couldn't run the ball to close out the game, or didn't. So I don't put that loss on Ryan's shoulders. I put that, and again, that goes to Drew's comment about play calling and personnel. They lose that Super Bowl because they can't run it and close out the game, and the play calling was not good. Well, that's true. Quarterback isn't a leader. I understand. This one, I thought about this one, Eric, I'm sorry, Brad Johnson. Who the hell is Eric Johnson? Brad Johnson and the Bucks. I thought about this game, but Johnson actually threw the ball a lot in that offense. John Gruden was a coach, if you remember. And Johnson was not a great quarterback by any sense, but he had a very, very good year that year and played very, very well in the playoffs. And although it's not a bad pick, it's a little different than the Dilfer pick in my mind, because they did let Brad Johnson go out and try to win games too, I think. Great defense. But I think he's a little better quarterback, and they had a little more faith in he could win games than Baltimore and Dilfer, for instance. Again, you don't have to be a great quarterback. Trent Dilfer in 2000. That's what I'm talking about with the Ravens. Yes. Eric Johnson, American. That's what it was. I must have fallen asleep listening to Eric Johnson, American guitarist, last night. Jim McMahon, great. Again, I'm not going to say it's the same situation as Dilfer. It's a great conversation, actually. I think he's a better quarterback than Dilfer, and the Rams. Oh my God, the Bears would throw the ball down the field to Willie Gault in that offense, and McMahon would have some big throws every single game, and they did rely on their defense and Walter Payton. So it's a good one, but again, I still don't think it reaches the level of Joe Cap was not a good quarterback, by the way. They didn't win a Super Bowl either, but it's amazing to me. You go back and watch films of Joe Cap play, and he did play for the Patriots, by the way, before they drafted Jim Plunkett. Another tremendous Super Bowl quarterback who was not a great quarterback, but a great leader. I think Joe Cap was probably a great leader. Certainly was not a great quarterback. Spent a lot of time in the Canadian Football League, and if I'm not mistaken, Rick Sherlock, Bud Grant, who coached in the CFL before he came to Minnesota, brought Joe Cap from Minnesota from the Canadian Football League to Minnesota, if I'm not mistaken. We're going to get into the coaches here in a little bit. Maybe we're not going to have. Maybe we aren't going to have Jim Biringer this morning. Again, his game might have gone into overtime, so we may have to get into the coaches now. And yeah, good point. If you're talking about Jamal Lewis, I'm sorry, you're probably talking about Peyton there, I'm thinking. But Jamal Lewis, don't forget, on that Baltimore team in 2000 had a 2,000-yard rusher in Jamal Lewis as well. Doug Williams. You know what, though? Again, leadership matters. And Kenny, you played some quarterback. When guys come in the huddle and look in your eyes, and they look you in the eyes and they trust you, things are a lot different than when guys come in and they don't trust the guy that's there. I watched it with the Patriots and Tony Eason, who had a lot of talent, but the team didn't respond well to him because the team didn't trust him. They didn't believe in him. So when I talk about leadership, I think that's what I talk about. And Doug Williams had that year. I read a great book recently about, I don't remember the name of it. I wish I had my Kindle here. I could tell you guys. It was a book about the rise of three great coaches, Bill Walsh, Joe Gibbs, and Bill Parcells. And there's a great chapter in there that covers Doug Williams. And you guys should read this book. If you're football fans, you should read this book. It's really good. And it gives you some interesting insight into these three coaching geniuses who are different on so many levels, but similar in so many levels. And Gibbs, by the way, 3 Super Bowls with 3 different quarterbacks. May never happen again. I guess I'm right with Bud Grant. I think we're going to jump into the Commanders. No, it's going to be the Admirals. We're going to find out in just a few days. Doug Williams, yep. It's going to be hard to break that record, right? Carlos, leadership. Leadership is not okay. Leadership is essential. Kenny was a left-handed. It was a left-handed quarterback. I think you're probably still a left-handed quarterback, Kenny, if you were to play. Now the best quarterback was from Houston. I'm not sure where that goes. Well, I don't disagree. Leadership, you need leadership off the field, and you need leadership on the field. Coaches can't get in that huddle, Carlos. Wow. I don't even know how to respond to that. A dime a dozen, right? Mm-hmm. You see great leadership out of the Giants quarterback, right? You may get it because guess what? Better coaches, and I guess we'll jump into this because I got a feeling we're going to miss Jim Biringer today. Let's see if he texts me. He didn't. Anyway, we're going to jump into the coaches now. Since we're there and we've been tiptoeing around this a little bit, coaches have to instill leadership qualities and help bring those leadership qualities out in players. It needs to be the quarterback, at least on offense, but it can be other guys as well. And bad teams don't have leaders, or if they do have leaders, they're not leaders that are leading in the right direction. One needs to be in a huddle. Agreed. On both sides of the football, I'll give you that. Anyway, let's jump into. We'll get back to the championship games a little bit. Let's jump into some of the coaching news this week. I'll start with Peyton because only because Billy had the question about Peyton here. So Peyton retires. He didn't retire. He didn't say he's retiring. He stepped down as a coach of the Saints. I think he was burned out a little bit, but I also think the Saints cap situation, which is horrendous, and the fact they had no quarterback, and the fact they're probably going to have to trade Kamara and maybe Thomas as well, which Thomas wouldn't be such a great loss because he doesn't get on the field anyway. But Kamara's probably going to have to go for them to fix this, and they're not going to be able to get a quarterback most likely. And he knows that, and I think he's not coming back this year. But I guarantee you he will be getting lots of offers next year. And I wouldn't be surprised, and Alan, you can comment on this. I would not be surprised. Alan's already commented on it. Mike McCarthy better win a Super Bowl next year. And even if he wins a Super Bowl, because we've seen this from Jerry Jones before, losing a coach, partly because the coach didn't want to stay after winning a Super Bowl. Mike McCarthy could win a Super Bowl, and Jerry Jones, who loves Sean Payton, will definitely be in the mix to hire Sean Payton. So, Mike McCarthy, if you want to keep coaching Dallas, you better at least win a Super Bowl next year, or Sean Payton may very well be releasing you. So, and again, there's Alan talking about the Dallas comment. Warren Moon. Warren Moon. Back to the quarterbacks again. So Warren Moon threw the ball great, right? Warren Moon had great numbers, but Warren Moon, I don't know that he was a great leader because he lost the biggest games he played. Again, not all his fault. But there was something missing on those Houston teams, and I feel like, yeah, I got you. Anytime a team is that talented as those Houston teams were, their defenses weren't any good. The run and shoot hurt that team a lot, so the coaching hurt them, obviously. But there's something missing. Sometimes it's on the coaching staff and not on the field. Sometimes it's on the field and not on the coaching staff, but you need it both places. Jerry will throw the farm at Sean Payton. I agree, definitely. I think that's a done deal. Wilson calls him Fred Flintstone. Are we talking? Oh, Wilbon. Yeah. I haven't seen Pardon the interruption. So long. I think I meant to start. Well, I guess I don't even need to record it because I forget that I can watch things later on. I assume you're talking about Peyton. I was surprised he stepped down, but again, he didn't give many reasons except he wanted to step away from the game for a little bit, spend more time with his family. But I think you look at him, and again, he's been in the same job for a long time. Coaches usually don't stick around that long. There aren't a lot of Bill Belichick's around that go 20 years in one spot, 20 plus years in one spot. They don't go 10 years in one spot anymore, anyway. And it's tough. And I think, McCarthy. He's talking about McCarthy. He does look a little like Fred Flintstone. But you see Peyton, he looked haggard to me this year. And, he had no quarterback. And they finished 9-8. And I think it was a really good coaching job by him this year to get that team to 9-8 and almost make the playoffs. But I think he just was worn out. And, again, saw the issues that were in front of this team the next year or two, at least, and said, might be time for a breather. And in a year, I'm going to come back and be the highest paid coach in the NFL, which he will be. Yeah, there you go. As I said, they've got serious cap issues, and they're probably going to have to trade their best player. And Peyton's no dummy. Now, the thing is, he's still in a year, if he decides to come out, don't forget, he's still got a contract. He's still got a contract with the Saints, so they're going to have to get compensation wherever he goes, unless that contract still has a few years to run on it, as far as I know. So he'll have to get compensation from any team. He won't. The team will, for any place he were to go. And again, Jerry will pay the money and give up the first-round draft picks to get him. Oh, we're back to quarterbacks. The quarterbacks with it factor. Burrows, Brady, Montana, Mahomes. Yeah. Plunkett. Again, even quarterbacks without the talent, as some of the guys we're mentioning here, had the it factor. Jim Kelly, he got to 4 Super Bowls and didn't win, but there was something there. He was a leader. But as far as Super Bowl winning quarterbacks, yeah. Jim Plunkett always comes to my mind as a great leader without the talent that a lot of other guys had, at least at that point in his career. He came out of college with a lot of talent, but he was beaten up and beaten down, and he had to be totally built up from the ground, and they did, and they did a great job. I don't see that happening, Billy. Maybe. I don't know. If they'd have to totally fall on their face probably to fire Saleh. And he's got a quarterback in place, so maybe. Maybe I shouldn't discount that fact. Not sure how Sean Payton would play with the New York media, though. He's a little grumpy. I want to get back to coaches, too. So, Brian Flores, I think Brian Flores still will get one of these jobs, Drew. I was not being a giant fan, but, wanting to see teams make the right hires. I thought he would have been a good fit with the Giants. I still think he'll come out of this with a job. And if he doesn't this year, I think he will next year. Obviously, you know what? I mean, coaches, now the problem is the word's out about him that he had problems with the front office. He had problems with players because he acted like a head coach and not their buddy. Now, sticking with the Giants for a second, well, I'll go back because I see Drew's got Hackett. I was going to mention Hackett. Hackett to the Broncos, yes. Look, Nathaniel Hackett's a really good offensive coordinator, and he very well may be a really good head coach. Hard to say. But I don't see – there's no – you can't hide the fact, in my mind, that the Broncos hired him so they can have a chance to bring Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams, who also is interested in Denver as a free agent, to be able to bring those guys along with Hackett. And if that happens, Denver is suddenly going to be probably a very good football team, assuming, again, they can run the football as well. So, yeah, I think that's I don't think it's a bad hire either way. He's had a very good track record, obviously, in Green Bay, and Vikings would kill for it. Kenny's still out of quarterback, so he can't get off there. I hope you left out who. I'm going to assume the Broncos, because I know you don't love Rodgers. I don't love Rodgers either, but listen, Rodgers can play football. And if he keeps his mouth shut, I said this on one of my shows. I don't know if it's this show, but I got a 12-year-old cat who reminds me a lot of Rodgers. This cat said nothing. He's 13 now. Sorry. He said nothing for 12 and a half years. He didn't meow. He didn't really want attention. He was kind of off in his own doing his own thing. And now the last 6 months, I can't shut him up. He wants attention all the time. And it reminds me of Aaron Rodgers. He just totally changed his personality or opened up to what his personality really was. I agree with this as well. Eberflus as a defensive coordinator and done a good job with the Colts. But I'm thinking the fans in Chicago are not excited about this hire, because I would have been looking for an offensive guy like Harbaugh to go along with the young quarterback that they have, and they want to build into a winner. The Bears' big problem wasn't defense. Their defense wasn't terrible. The big problem was offense and offensive play calling, and the whole offensive philosophy under Nagy was horrendous. Now, maybe because they went with an offensive guy last time, teams tend to do this. They want to go a different direction. But they also went with a guy with no experience last time, and a lot of times teams will flip-flop there. I thought the Giants should have gone with a guy with experience. Now, with that said, I think the Giants made a good hire here as I think more about it. Dable, yes. Dable, yes, was probably part of his success was a product of Josh Allen's maturity, but you can't take away from the fact that he was part of Josh Allen's maturity, which the Giants badly need with Daniel Jones or whoever the quarterback's going to be there. I will predict, as I have been for weeks now, that if they hired Dable, they would bring in Mitchell Trubisky as a free agent and have a quarterback competition with Jones and Trubisky. And you'll find out how good Dable is. I don't think it's a bad hire because of the cohesiveness with the front office, which you've got to have, and the Giants have not had for a while. Now, to my Trubisky comments, I think it's quite likely that he may have multiple choices where he can go. There's a lot of teams that need a quarterback, or enough teams that need a quarterback, that the Giants may get priced out of him. Because I think there's some upside on Trubisky myself. I don't think it's awful. I mean, again, Dable's track record before Buffalo wasn't that great, and his track record in Buffalo is partly tied to Josh Allen, as I said. But again, you can't discount the fact that Josh Allen matured into this great quarterback under Dable. We're talking about Rodgers. Kenny's still on quarterbacks. I'm assuming he's still talking about Rodgers. I agree. Look, I'm not sticking up for Aaron Rodgers in any way, shape, or form. He's a great player on the field. I don't know that he's a great leader, though. He doesn't win the big games anymore. He won one Super Bowl in, what, Kenny, 15 years? Maybe he hasn't been the starter that long, but whatever. He's been the starter a long, long time. Oh, I can't agree with that. I think the Giants needed to hire an offensive coach. Although I liked Flores, don't get me wrong. If they weren't going to go with Flores, they needed to go with an offensive coach. And I think they made the right choice if they're going to go with an offensive coach. The Bears made a mistake. They hired the wrong side of the football, I think. me get through a few more of these. So I got Jim Biringer in the waiting room here, but I want to get through a few more comments, and we'll bring in Jim and talk a little hockey before we get to Mark Mancini at 10:25. Again, I think there's something to be said for keeping some cohesiveness between a coach and a GM. When they hired Schoen, I was sure that it was going to be Dabo from the minute they hired him. Yeah. The defense will be more solid, and you could find 1 million offensive coaches. 1 million. There are a dime a dozen, I guess, like leaders at quarterback that are all those guys that are winning Super Bowls. You know what? He better have a really good offensive coordinator because, again, defensive guys have got to hire really good offensive coordinators. That was Salah's problem, at least the first part of the season, is he didn't hire a really experienced and good offensive coordinator to carry the load on offense because he's a defensive guy. Defense does win games. I get that. Very little hope for the Giants. We know that, Carlos. I'm coming, Jim. I promise. Let me get through these last few comments. Alan, Giants don't have a line on offense or defense. Exactly. They got to get better in the trenches. But you know what? They've got some talent on the field. And again, they aren't that far away, I don't think. Just look at Cincinnati and where they were a couple of years ago. Neither does all the other candidates that were going to get hired except for Jim Harbaugh. Or Brian Flores, sorry. Even the name redacted. Well, he's going to hire Wink Martindale's rumored to be the defensive coordinator there. So there's your experienced guy on defense that I talk about. Anyway, guys, a little late and hopefully survived maybe a double overtime game or something. I don't know. Jim, welcome in this morning.
Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for having me in. Sorry I'm late this morning. I texted you about playing hockey this morning.
I did get that. I was getting worried about you when you did make it at 9:30. I figured you went into overtime or something.
Yeah, no, we got the ice a little later. We stayed on a little bit longer than we wanted to. So, but no, good to be here. Thanks for having me on, squeezing me in here at the top of the hour.
That's all right. We fit a couple things in that I would have done after our hockey chat. And you can certainly weigh in on anything I was talking about with coaches. And I know you're a fan of football as well as hockey, but let's get to the hockey stuff off the top here because, as I said, 10:25, we got Mark coming in ish. I know your top 10 was out this week. You got a new number one in Colorado, and you got a couple teams moving up. Tampa Bay, I noticed, and Carolina make decent moves up, and the Bruins making a move down. What's your overall take on your top 10 this week?
Yeah, a lot of movement in the top 10. If you haven't checked out the power rankings, please do. Keith does a great job of putting it on TGI Sports Talk, so please take a look at it. A lot of movement inside the top 10, especially with the new number one Colorado. They're just playing so well at home. Yeah, no broken teeth. I've broken my nose several times, but we'll get to that in a minute. Yeah. I have my thoughts on All-Star game, but Colorado's just playing so well at home, 17 straight now. They're just unbeatable. Same with Florida. It feels like they can't lose at home. 3 wins now on only 3 losses on home ice. Colorado's just so deep. You can even see it now with McKinnon out. He got hurt the other night, broken nose. He'll be out a little bit. But it wasn't because of a hit. The hit caused the stick to go into his nose and break it. But they have a guy named Nazem Kadri. I think Leaf fans know him pretty well, and he can fill in on the top line. For me, the big thing for Colorado has been their goaltending. It's gotten a lot better between Kemper and Francouz. I think that's the key for them. They have the team because if they don't win again this year, if they don't make a deep run in the playoffs, they're going to start hearing the noise about Tampa Bay. And, look, another team, obviously, in there as well, Carolina and the Metro. The Metro's just so deep right now. It's the best division in the NHL. Obviously, you have Carolina, Pittsburgh, Washington, the Rangers, just jockeying for position. And, I believe Carolina will probably ultimately end up winning that division, but Pittsburgh's right there as well in there. And, Tampa Bay, the champs are the champs until somebody beats them, as we like to say. on the last one on hockey. But yeah, no, it's been really good. It's been entertaining. I think now that we got over that COVID hump, I think the game, everything's just going to be focused on the ice right now.
And let's talk a little bit about, we know that Metro is really tough. I know you dropped the Bruins a little bit. The Rangers, hanging in there pretty well. The Islanders trying to right the ship a little bit. I don't know that they're going to have enough season to get it done, but I want to give Carlos a chance to put his Fire Trotz comment up there. So
I mean, look, before he even puts Fire Trotz out there and Lou and all that stuff, let's just be honest. Those two guys are going anywhere. I think the issue is they've played a lot of hockey over the last couple of years. They didn't get off to the best of starts. You're playing 13 games on the road. You have COVID, all that stuff. I think some of the contracts you can look at is some of the guys they gave are not producing. Palmieri, one of them. Nelson's not. All those guys are just not living up to their potential, and it's because you played a lot of hockey in a defensive system that's going to break down. I mean, they only have realistically now they have 4 or 5. I think they have 4 games in hand on teams, but they still have about 20 points to make up. And it's just, there's not a lot of runway left for the Islanders to make a run. It's unfortunate. I don't know if they're going to be sellers. It's going to be interesting. I've heard teams calling on Varlamov because he could be a goalie they could use in the playoffs because they're going to have to limit some cap space. I think the worst thing is some of the contracts they're tied to hurt them because they lost players like Nick Leddy and a Devon Taves. Look at Devon Taves over in Colorado, what he's doing on the back end. I don't know if they're going to be able to keep him because of the way he's playing. So there's a team, somebody could go after him because he's just playing great defensively for Colorado. But offensively, they just don't have enough. They need something else. They need a goal scorer somewhere. They could put the puck in the net. Yeah, they're a great defensive team, but you can't be scoring. You can't be winning games when you're averaging 2 goals a game. It just doesn't work in this league. The best teams know how to score goals, and the Islanders are just not doing that, and that's always been their issue because they're defense first team.
Yeah. Anybody? Who can you see outside? You got your top 10, and those are obviously the contenders we're looking at for now. They're probably, I don't know, there may be more than 10.
There's
teams.
probably more than that. I mean, everybody looks at these power rankings and look at, top 10, Nashville's just on the outside of 11. They've been playing well in that central division with St. Louis is playing well. And then, obviously the top 3, right there, Colorado, St. Louis, and Nashville in the central. Dallas is making a charge. See, that's a team I'm interested in because I want to see what they're doing. Because if they can continue to climb up the standings in that central division and get close to a wild card spot, there might not be sellers anymore. I know John Klingberg is looking to be traded, and they may try to trade him. And Joe Pavelski is another name, but you never know. With them, they're going to be able to, if they're going to be back in contention, they may not be sellers. They may be used guys as own rentals. Calgary and Edmonton are starting to turn things around, especially the Flames. Mangiapane for that. I can't believe this guy has 20 points in 25 road games. It's ridiculous what he does on the road for the Flames. The Flames are starting to turn things around there. Edmonton's starting to turn things around, and it's interesting. As I put out the other day, I think, or yesterday actually the talk of Evander Kane now that he's signed with Edmonton.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about this. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, for me, look, he looks great. They scored a lot of goals against Montreal. It's Montreal, they're a bad team. I just don't know if that was the need that they needed to fill. Yeah, you can break up McDavid and Draisaitl and have depth on the wing, but their help is in goal. They need goaltending and they need defense. They didn't need another goal scorer because their offense was ranked 11th in the league.
Is there a team that you would think that Kane fit better on? He could have gone anywhere he wanted to, correct? He was unrestricted.
I think Washington would have been a better fit for him.
Mm-hmm.
Just because they're struggling right now scoring goals. And, Ovi's off his pace. You get another sniper with him, play with Backstrom, Oshie's out. So he could have fit better a little bit there, maybe Calgary too. But it's going to be interesting because so much, down the road with the trade deadline, it's normally February. Now it's March this year. And because we thought we were going to have a supposed Olympic break.
Right.
But, there's still a lot of time left to the trade deadline.
What about, there is a lot of time then. We'll certainly be talking about that as we get closer to it. Before we go on, I know we got to get to some All-Star game talk, and I got a couple other quick questions and see what else you got on your mind. Do you follow NCAA hockey?
I do.
So we got a lot of people that are big Union College fans up here. And obviously their coach has just stepped down, and there's been allegations about his style and things like that. You have any insight? I don't know if it's something that you're familiar with or not, so I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I just thought I'd ask since the question came up.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting.
He's been a very successful coach, obviously.
Yeah, obviously, it's weird because, you never know with these things with allegations, whether they're true or not. And it's interesting because, Union has always been a good hockey team, especially college hockey team. They've always, they've made the bracket, got close, Frozen Four and stuff like that. It's weird because it's not a pro team, because you always hear that in the pros. Oh, coaching style doesn't fit players and this and that. Usually when the college hockey guys are there, they're, especially in college hockey, those guys are lifers until they decide to retire. Usually you never hear come out of a college team that, oh yeah, the coaching style is too hard, or it's, this guy is, being abusing players on the ice during practice, this and that. It's kind of interesting to see that this comes out now. It's crazy that, some people said his practices were too hard. It all depends. Let's see what happens here. I mean, again, it's just weird to see that Union hockey, something like this would come out, because like I said, college hockey, usually those guys are lifers.
And I believe he's got a national championship under his belt there as well. So
yes, he does.
So, and Union's been a perennial contender under him and for years. I mean, before him, but RPI was the big school here locally for a lot of years before Union stepped up and kind of became the rival and surpassed them. So it was very interesting and surprising when I saw him step down actually before the Mayor's Cup against RPI yesterday. So
very interesting story. Something we'll definitely keep an eye on for sure.
Yeah, good. And it's good to know that you do follow college hockey, because I know some people do have some interest in that as well. And I'll keep that in mind as we go forward during the season. Yeah,
it's always fun to watch because, you never know. The top team may not always win the Frozen Four and be national champion at the end of the year. I know Michigan's back this year trying to make a run after last year with the COVID. They couldn't compete, and they're playing really well right now. So many good prospects. I mean, we'll see what happens when they lose a couple of guys that go to the Olympics. But they're playing really well right now.
Yeah, let's see what Kenny's got to say about that, because that's the way of the world. You can't be hands-on coach anymore. I don't disagree. I mean, we saw it in football with Brian Flores. He doesn't get along with his players. Players don't like him, so we fire the coach. So
right, and like I said, it's just so weird to see it in college hockey, because you see guys at BU, BC, Wisconsin, North Dakota, coaches there forever. They're there longer than the college football coaches are. They're there till they retire.
Agreed. I got a question for you out of the blue here. Kenny wants to know if he's heard that players sharpen their sticks. True or not?
I don't do that. I've known some guys that do it, but it's kind of crazy. What you usually do is you just put the torch on it and then you tape it. It gives it a little bit of grip.
Yeah, Perry's got a good point here. It is. We can't. Yeah, and I don't want to get into a huge political comment.
Yeah, let's not. Yeah, like I said.
These guys certainly aren't wrong. We can't. No. You can't say and do things. And as Kenny said, you got a great term. You can't be a hands-on coach and be tough on kids today, because that's not how they're brought up.
No,
they're coddled. And as soon as you start getting in their face a little bit, that you're the bad guy. So
I mean, quick story. I mean, when we were playing college, we had a bad game, and the next practice it was straight up skating, and I looked to my teammates after we did it, and we're like, we're never doing this again. We just skated and skated and skated until our legs couldn't fall off, because we decided to take a night off playing, and we paid for it. So
it had but it was desired, right?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't want to do it, but you know what? It basically had the effect of, all right, if you guys don't ever want to do this again, play better. So
agreed.
Yeah, so there was that.
I want to ask you before I get to the All-Star stuff, we still got a few minutes to go here, so we got enough time, I think. I want to talk about Lundqvist's number getting retired by the Rangers. Big night there. I know they didn't win a Stanley Cup while he was there, but he was the king of New York for a long time. And what are your thoughts about his career and this honor that he got here the other night?
One of the best goalies never to win a Stanley Cup. I mean, this guy, he's going straight to the Hall of Fame. When he's eligible, he'll be a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's won an Olympic gold medal. He's won a world championship with his brother with Sweden. He came right in and owned New York. I mean, they gave him the nickname the King for a reason. He never understood what it was. He never really embraced it.
No.
But he loved being in New York, and it was kind of cheekily that he said his heart wasn't in it, or his heart didn't let him play for Washington when he signed there, which is kind of, cheeky because he had the heart surgery and stuff, and he was, doing that. But, it's kind of good that he didn't play in Washington and finish his career in the Rangers, because that's the way it should have been. I mean, there were so many opportunities for him to go to other places to win a Stanley Cup. I know San Jose came to mind. Dallas had trades. You know what? He just wanted to stay there, and the loyalty and the respect that you have for him. And, he's immortalized now in the rafters in Madison Square Garden. Look, as a Devils fan, I hated my team playing against him because outside of 2012 where we got him in the playoffs, I mean, this guy owned us, and he was really good, and all respect to him. I mean, he said he wanted to play for Frölunda. He grew up in Sweden, and he wanted to play there. Then he wanted to go NHL. Look, it's a shame he didn't win a Stanley Cup, but you know what? Some of those Rangers teams didn't deserve to go places in the playoffs.
Right.
Because it wasn't because of Lundqvist. He's the one that carried them there, and they had a nice stretch from 2012 to about 2016 where, back-to-back, they went to a Stanley Cup final, 3 conference finals in 4 years. So they were playing really good hockey. It's a shame they just couldn't do it. I mean, that was the Tortorella years in New York, and that team blocked shots. I mean, he was just a consummate professional, and I still to this day say has the best hair in hockey.
I don't get into hair conversations too much, so I'll let.
No, I know, but I mean, look, the dude is just got. I mean, it looks so perfect. It just looks so perfect every time.
How would you where does he rank, you think, all time? I mean, look at you got one of the maybe the best goalie of all time in Marty Brodeur, and he's got the cups to show for it. So
yeah, I mean,
where does the King rank? All time? Do you think?
I mean, it starts with the 3. It starts with Waugh, Hasek, Brodeur. Put them in any order you want.
Yeah.
Then from there, I mean, there's always the debate of who's down there. I mean, I would put him top 10 all time. I don't know if I'm going to put him top 5 because of, guys like Belfour and Fior, Cujo. I mean, so many guys in front of him that were good, won cups or just, were just a little.
If he'd gotten a couple cups, I think he would have been top 5.
I think even if he had the one, I think he would be top 5, just the records that he holds for the Rangers now. He passed Mike Richter and all that stuff. So, I mean, he's just a consummate pro. Like I said, he's going to go straight to the Hall of Fame. Deserving night for him. It was a guaranteed lock that Matt Zuccarello was going to score on Henrik Lundqvist night.
What? So I know earlier, moving on from the King reluctantly, but we need to move on. I know Rick mentioned it earlier. What are your thoughts on the All-Star Game selections and the big snubs that you see or oversights, whatever you want to?
I mean, for me, for the All-Star Game, look, for me, it's like all-Star games in all the professional leagues. It's just I don't waste my time arguing about what guys got snubbed, didn't get snubbed anymore. I mean, should Sidney Crosby be there? Yeah. Should Brad Marchand be there? Yeah. I mean, Nathan McKinnon had the best take on it. If it's a true all-star game, then every team shouldn't have a representative there. He's like, it's not a participation thing, but it is about the league, and it's about the fans, and it's about, the sponsors and stuff. So if say you have a team from, like, take the Devils, for instance, Jack Hughes is going, say Devils fans were going to tune in, but they didn't have a representative there. Why are they going to watch? This is just basically why to get eyes on the thing. Like I said, I think I'm glad Nazem Kadri's going in as a final because he deserves to be there. Sidney Crosby should be there, guys like that. But I mean, overall, to me, I was always a fan of the skills competition the night before. That was my favorite thing. I mean, I stopped watching All-Star Game a long time ago. I loved the 90s All-Star Games. They were even good, the back and forth, because it kind of was a true All-Star Game because those guys were always that went there were always All-Stars. Now it's just like, is this guy really an All-Star? I mean, I guess. But, I always like the skills competition the night before, and it's good to see, like, I think they invited a couple of guys to go just to do skills competition, similar to what they do the NBA. It's funny. It came out yesterday that the NHL invited Zdeno Chara to go to the All-Star Game to do just the hardest shot, but he said no.
It's funny. I think the All-Star games in all sports have gone the same direction. I mean, baseball used to have the best one. Even that's unwatchable now. And you're right. If you're going to have a true All-Star game, then you can't pick guys from every team if they aren't deserving. So
right. I mean, you could say the Atlantic could just be made up of like 4 teams: Boston, Toronto, Tampa, and Florida. Those are the guys that should be there. And the same with the Metro, so on and so forth. So if it's a true All-Star game, just bring the best players and go from there. I mean, maybe go back to back in the day, All-Star game was the Stanley Cup champion took on the All-Stars of the National Hockey League.
Yeah, they probably should do what football did the last couple of years. And this year, I think they're playing a game, but they just picked the team and they didn't play a game. Why play a game when you're not going to really? It's not even it's not the sport that you're watching all year long. Not in any of them, even hockey. It's
just three. It's a 3-on-3 exhibition. That's what it is. It's a 3-on-3 tournament. That's all it is. And there's just a lot of goal scoring and stuff. Like I said, I'm more of a skills competition guy, and even that's starting to get watered down because they just don't keep it simple.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's what they got to do is pick a team, have a skills competition, and don't play a game.
And just go home.
Right. Exactly. Go home and have a beer or something.
Exactly.
So what else do we got to talk about that we haven't touched on that's top of your mind in the NHL or anywhere else?
I mean, it's just going to be interesting because a lot of reports coming out of Vancouver that they're looking to maybe move guys like JT Miller, and now the newest reports is Connor Garland might be moving. I mean, they just traded for him with Oliver Ekman-Larsson and signed him into a new extension. So that's an interesting one for me because just of what's going on there. I mean, they hired a new front office and a lot of changes there. So interesting to see what's going on with the Canucks. Montreal, obviously, they have a lot of changes going on as well. Jeff Gorton, a new president. Kent Hughes, the new general manager. So it's going to be interesting to see who moves, if players with contracts start to move. So those are some interesting things come the trade deadline, again, which is still weeks away. But, the action on the ice has been really, really good. Like I said, after getting over the COVID hump, we're finally getting back to the action on the ice and not worrying about what guys are on COVID lists and postponing games and moving schedules around. And they finally released the new schedule. So it's jam-packed February, but there's a lot of games for a lot of teams, and let's see who survives this because it's going to be a gauntlet come February.
Yeah, I agree. It's funny. Kenny's wants to dive inside hockey today. He wants to know about the puck coming off the ice, and he sees guys picking it up with the stick and kind of carrying it now.
Yeah, I mean, it's all legal. I mean, as long as you keep it below the shoulder. I mean, the Michigan move, Zegras is doing it, Svechnikov, all these guys are doing. The thing is, the game has changed so much now in a regular season. Guys could do this. Like back in the day, no one could do that because it was just hooking and holding. Now the game is, you're allowed to do that. I mean, you're never going to see anybody do that in the playoffs. But, I mean, the skill that's on display right now in the league, it's in such good hands going forward. It's unbelievable. I love the fact that these kids are doing this stuff. And it makes the game better. And it's funny, Tortorella he said it the other day on the point. It was funny when the Canadian press was like calling him out for being like a grumpy old man. He's like, they could just kiss my butt.
Well, actually, it just popped in my head. What are your thoughts now that we're like halfway through the season, or I guess we're halfway through the season?
Yeah, we're just about the halfway mark. Yeah.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on the television coverage? Since we're talking about how the games changed, what do you think about the television coverage this year compared to where they were with NBC? And
I think ESPN is doing the best job as possible with what they have. I know a lot of people complaining they got to pay extra for ESPN Plus. People, it's worth the money. Like, I don't want to shamelessly plug ESPN Plus everywhere I go, but I understand people are upset that they want their local games on. It's on ESPN Plus and you have to stream it. Guys, it's the way of the world. This is where we're going. If you watch college football this year, you didn't see You didn't see that Notre Dame did not play a lot of games on NBC this year. It was all on Peacock. So it's the way of the world, and I get what they're doing. TNT, on the other hand, could be a lot better. My advice to them is follow the ESPN model. Get your pregame show in before puck drop, talk a little bit, and go to puck drop. I do not want to be waiting 20 minutes before the puck drops at a 10 o'clock game on the East Coast. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, you have all this time. Like, there's no reason to do it. They're trying to be inside the NBA, and it's a bad version of inside the NBA. You just can't create that. Just play the game and just drop the puck. Like, we hear all these guys talk at the intermission. I don't need to see it. I mean, the ratings are about where they were with NBC. I mean, the most watched game this year has been the showdown game because it was on NBC. On ABC. But I mean, I think the coverage has been good. I like the fact that I can watch every game every night. So I mean, look, it is what it. These are the TV contracts they signed. I mean, I wish TNT was doing a little bit better job, but it's just pretty much NBC guys over at TNT.
An extra plus, too, by the way, guys, I'll just throw in there. If you do sign up for ESPN Plus, you'll get to watch Man in the Arena, which is the Tom Brady.
Very good.
Covered, by the way, which you guys all think we don't need more Tom Brady, but I'm telling you, watch this, and I think you'll get a whole different insight on Tom Brady and Giselle and some of the things that went on in New England. It's a really good series, I can tell you right now. It's very well done.
Yes, it is. I've watched some of the episodes. Very good.
Shameless plug for Tom Brady.
Yeah, I know, right? But even with the Olympics not having NHLers, there's going to be some good players in there to watch, especially some of the World Junior guys that had their tournaments postponed or canceled because of COVID. A lot of guys from Team USA that were on that World Junior team are going to be on USA's team. Same with Canada. Both teams are pretty good. I think Russia's probably the favorite to win this thing, but you never know. USA, Canada could potentially be could potentially get there and medal.
It'd be a lot of fun to watch. You know what? Whether the NHL players are there or not, I enjoy the international hockey competition all the time. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And it's, in a way, it's more fun to root for kids who are not going to be given any chance probably to medal over there, or at least win a gold, I would think. Yeah,
I mean, look, I'm going to root for Team USA to see what they do. But, I mean, hopefully they medal and stuff. I mean, go watch the women's tournament. I mean, that's going to be ridiculous, too. So USA and Canada is going to be fun to watch. Every game, if you can stay up or find a game, go watch it, because it's going to the women's hockey tournament is always fun to watch.
Yeah, I will agree. Finding the competition that you want to watch is a little it's a little bit of work sometimes during the Olympics, because you don't know where these things are going to be airing. So
yeah, exactly. I mean, look,
who your TV provider is, they may have just like an Olympic
channel.
Olympic channel where you can go find the channel that's covering the thing you want to watch.
Yeah, so. I agree. I mean, look, women, USA is looking to go back to back. They have never gone back to back. They won the first one in '98 and then lost to Canada a bunch of times. They're trying to go back to back for the first time at the Olympics.
Getting off hockey for 1 second, you want to make a pick on the games today?
I do.
Well, give me a winner in Kansas City. Give me a score in the Kansas City-Cincinnati game.
Oh, man. My heart, I mean, my head says Kansas City wins 27-20. My heart really wants to see Bengals 49ers the rematch from all those years ago, because
a lot of guys want to see those 80s rematches.
I just kind of really want to see it. I know the NFL probably wants Rams and Chiefs because I think any combination will get you rating for the Super Bowl because it's a Super Bowl. I'm going to say the 49ers get the job done against the Rams today.
Excellent. And I'll ask you one more question, football related, because Carlos has been very vocal in his disagreement with the Giants selection of a head coach. Since you're there in the area, what are your thoughts there?
I like the pick. I like the hire. I like the hire. I like the hire of the general manager and the hire of the coach. Both excellent. They're going to have a good partnership. Let's see if it was Dable and his system, or was it the fact that it was Josh Allen in Buffalo? If Dable can turn around Daniel Jones and they can draft the right guys and build around them, this Giants team is going to be better. again, I think they need to bring in competition for Jones.
I said before they hired Dable that if they brought him in, it was a very good chance they may chase Mitchell Trubisky to bring him in to compete with Jones. So we'll see.
We'll see with that.
We'll see. Jim, thanks for coming in today. Thanks for providing that insight and jumping into the NCAA and even the NFL a little bit today. So I'm glad you made it in, and I didn't have to, chase you down, make sure you weren't in a ditch somewhere. So you get in even if it was a little late. So thanks again.
Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure to talk hockey on the show. Thanks again, guys, and have a great Sunday. Enjoy the games.
Enjoy your Sunday. Thanks. The great Jim Biringer from The Last Word on Hockey. And we go from that to Mr. Mark Mancini from Mancini Media. Good morning, Mark. How are you?
Wow, man, that's going to be a tough act to follow. Jim's damn good like you. This show, the Sunday grind, I'll tell you, a lot to follow, and prayers and thoughts with this nor'easter blowing through your neck of the woods, buddy.
Well, we're safe up here. We only got like an inch of snow up here. But
oh, my God, my buddies in Boston have gotten socked in. It's up through Rhode Island, New York, Philly, Pittsburgh. Oh, my God, man.
It went south.
I don't have to battle it out in L.A. I'm glad.
Yeah, it went south and east of us. So we kind of missed it, which, you know what, is becoming more and more the norm. We used to get all these storms, and they wouldn't get them in the south of us. But now it's kind of changed directions, and we miss a lot of them now, which is not really upsetting me. I can tell you right now.
Yeah, it affected a hockey game last night in Long Island. So that's unbelievable. You always kind of think to yourselves, how the hell are they flying out of this weather, man, with these snowstorms and everything? But and they definitely didn't get a game in last night, so they have to make that up.
Well, let's jump into our conversation with Mr. Mark Mancini and talk a little bit about, first of all, let's chat quickly about last week's games. I mean, we talked about Saturday's games. I really want to talk about we can talk about the Rams and 49ers. I'm sorry, the Rams and Bucks, and we'll talk a little about Tom Brady as well. But we saw one of the great football games I've ever seen in the playoffs for sure in Buffalo and Kansas City last week. And I think it was a great weekend of football overall. 4 great games, all ending on a score, either in overtime or regulation. And I don't know what more you can ask for as a football fan.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. The Rams are a lucky team, man. That's what it comes down to. They can say whatever they want. They won the game, whatever. But when you blow a 27-3 lead, you got egg on your face, and the signs outside your locker room are pretty much fire McVay. You get very lucky when you pull out a game like that. That thing went to overtime. Who knows what would have happened with Tom Brady? But the Rams, to me, are a lucky team. They collapse always in the second half. And if you're going to pull that stuff today in SoFi, beware. This is a 49er team that will make you pay for it.
Oops, sorry. I had to cough there. So I'm fighting a bit of actually a nasty cold. So I appreciate everybody for commenting and Jim and now Mark for carrying me a little bit today because I'm battling it big time. Anyway, on that game, I got to tell you, I will tell you that I'm giving I had Stafford ranked at the bottom of my confidence rankings of playoff quarterbacks, and he has moved up a lot because he was a big reason that they got ahead 27-3. He wasn't necessarily part of them losing the lead. It was other guys that were making bad mistakes in my mind. And when the game came down to it at the end, he brought them to victory. So I do think Matthew Stafford has moved up a notch, at least in my thinking, as far as trusting him as a playoff quarterback.
Well, he came in, he didn't win a playoff game, and then he finally won a playoff game against Arizona, and Arizona's a bad football team anyhow, let's face it. They were trying to find themselves after they started the season undefeated. Then you put the Bucks down, and then, the Bucks come back into the game, and you're right, maybe Stafford's starting to field his own, but the real problem out here in Los Angeles is there's never been a football team for quite a few decades out here, and now the Rams have stood up and said, hey, listen, we're not going to sell tickets to 49er fans, which I think is very unconstitutional in a lot of ways, shapes, and forms, because it's America. You can buy tickets wherever you want, and to stand here and say we're not going to sell tickets to the 49er fans, that's an insecurity in my book for the Rams. I mean, are you afraid of these teams that are coming in here to play? You've got more fan bases. One, I mean, Stafford's wife is buying tickets and everything. It's going to be 65% 49er fans. But I'll tell you one thing. When you look at the 49ers, let me tell you something. They've been playing playoff football since that game they beat the Rams. Robbie Gould is ice in the veins, 20 for 20. He claims he's going to turn this thing into a Levi South. And the 49ers have done more damage in the playoffs than the Rams have. When you look at it, they've gone to hostile environments like Dallas and Green Bay, and they really don't care because they've beat the Rams 6 straight times. It's the Rams' problem to beat the 49ers, and the 49ers are playing on hotel money.
I would argue, though, the 49ers profited off of other teams' inability to come up big in a big moment. The Green Bay special teams gave 49ers a win last week, and the Dallas Cowboys were awful the week before and still could have won the game if Dak Prescott had the presence of mind, as any NFL quarterback should, to hand the ball to the referee and not put it on the ground. So the 49ers very well may have lost that first game.
Yeah, but if you look at the 49ers, they'll physically manhandle you. They love to run the ball down your throat. The Rams can't stop the run. And you get Samuel and you get these guys running left to right, it's going to present problems for the Rams. The key is, okay, can Garoppolo, cut down on the interceptions? But I think when you look at Garoppolo and Stafford, you can cut it with a knife there. It's going to, the 49ers secondary is a little banged up. But if he can shut down Beckham, can kind of hold those guys, Cooper Kupp, who knows? But I like the 49ers in this one.
Well, I mean, again, I'm going to take the Rams, but not with any great confidence because they've lost their last 6 to the 49ers. So,
right, psychological thing.
Yeah, but again, I can't say that the 49ers are any less lucky than the Rams to be here at this point based on other teams.
Well, the thing with McVay just, I think when you put the pressure on McVay is a different, guy. I mean, he starts throwing people under the bus, and he starts getting flustered. He tries to outcoach teams. I just think if the Rams get pressure on them, this is a different team. I mean, when you look at it, and we'll find out today. I will tell you this: if the Rams do lose this game, wow, I don't know how you pick up the pieces after that. You could say whatever you want, but this team was another team that was all in to win a Super Bowl. If they come up short today to the 49ers, that's 7 straight to the 49ers. Wow, I don't know how you pick up the pieces, Keith.
Kenny was going to bet you a cheesesteak.
Yeah, I got lit up by all those guys in Philly on Thursday.
But Rick said it was a waste because he wouldn't get it anyway. So.
No. Now I got to bring Rick on the show.
Let's move on to the AFC. And obviously we saw a great game last Sunday. I mean, Buffalo fans up in arms about the OT rules and whatnot. But you know what? First of all, the rules are the rule is what the rule is. And, whether you like it or you don't, and I don't like it. But all you had to do was stop this team once in the fourth quarter or even with 13 seconds left, and you win the game. And this comes down to Buffalo's inability to run the football at all to close out a game. And that's the difference in why Buffalo's not in this game and Kansas City is. And what's your thoughts?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. If you did a squib kick, then we'd find out what the Chiefs could do with 13 seconds. I think when you kick it into their end zone and let them set up on their 25, that presents a lot of problems. But I would have done a squib kick and then would see what you could do with 13 seconds. That was the real problem there. I don't know how you feel on it.
Well, I don't disagree. I mean, there's some dangers there. If you kick the ball out of bounds or something, then they're going to get the ball to 40. But I probably still would have squib kicked it. At least would have taken a couple of seconds off, if nothing else. But maybe it wouldn't have mattered. They made it too easy for the Chiefs to go 45 yards in 13 seconds. It shouldn't be as easy as it was.
Right. Big pass plays. You can't give up those big pass plays. But I will tell you, I like the Bengals today. I think the Bengals are another team that, they don't really care. They beat them before.
Yeah.
This is a team that, You can say experience whatever you want. I was the guy, and you probably heard it before, that the Chiefs won't get to a Super Bowl within the next 5 years unless it's a conspiracy theory and they want the Rams and the Chiefs in this thing. I'm going with the old school retro.
Don't go the conspiracy theory route. Jeez,
Yeah.
don't do that.
I'm going the retro, baby. I'm going round 3 with the 49ers and
A
Bengals.
lot of people wanting to see that 80s redo for sure. I like the Bengals. I'm a little surprised. I thought you'd take the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs will win the game. I think the Bengals are going to keep it close, so I like the points in the game. And I think the Bengals have weapons to score points with the Chiefs, and I think they are better equipped to slow down Mahomes a little bit than the Buffalo Bills were.
And they've been battle tested the whole year too. Look at the division. I mean, you get Pittsburgh. You got a physical division. Baltimore, Cleveland was fell apart, but this is a division where you're battle tested. So I like the physicality. I like the Burrow to Chase LSU connection. So that's going to be the key there. And we'll find out.
Quarterback upright, though. They get 9 sacks today. They're going to get killed. So they got to keep the quarterback upright.
Right. Well, that was the deal with the Tennessee. That was so inconsistent. 9 sacks, but the 3 interceptions killed Tennessee.
For sure.
It's got to be ball control in Kansas City. Kind of harass Mahomes. We'll find out. We'll find out what the weather is for this game and everything. But I'm not going against what I just said. Bengals and Niners.
Well, I mentioned this earlier, too, about the Bengals. If they should get ahead late in this game like Buffalo was, they do have the ability to close it out running the football. So that would be the big difference in this fourth quarter if they were to be able to be ahead as the Bills were last week. And listen, to your consistency with the Rams, a couple of comments that came up here. Rick says it's Mark, anybody but the Rams. Mancini is on the show here with me today. And Kenny Gifford thinks you're really a closeted Rams fan. You just won't admit it.
No. I love their weather. I love everything else out here. I'm just not a big fan of their sports teams, unfortunately.
And I will say,
and I think I've made light of that real good.
I just have to say good morning to Tim Ott. I can't see Rick saying good morning to Tim Ott, another Perthite, and I don't see Tim in my comment section. He must be watching maybe YouTube, or I'm not seeing him. I'm not sure exactly. Sometimes the comments don't come from all the different sources that we're feeding to right now. So anyway, good morning, Tim Ott. Welcome. Mark, while we're on the NFL still, let's talk a little bit about some of the coaching moves so far. And some that have been rumored. We've had changes in Denver, Chicago, and the Giants. To me, Denver is it's pretty transparent what they're looking to do there. Is they're swinging for the fences that Hackett can bring Rodgers with him, and maybe even Devontae Adams, who's expressed an interest in Denver as a free agent. The Chicago move, I'm not terribly happy, or if I was a Chicago fan, I wouldn't be happy about. I'd want an offensive guy to try to, build with my young quarterback. And the Giants, I don't know. I think I'm okay with Daboll. We're going to find out, as we were talking about with Jim at the end of our conversation there, whether he was a product of Josh Allen, or Josh Allen was a product of Daboll's coaching. So if I'm a Giant fan, I like the fact that I got a general manager and a coach on the same page at least. So what are your thoughts so far on these moves?
Well, the Bears are just a backwards organization. I mean, they just are. I mean, they haven't had a coach since Ditka there, and then Buddy Ryan. I mean, I'm looking for somebody to come in there. They should open up the wallet and give it to Jim Harbaugh. I don't understand these defensive coordinators, these offensive coordinators. They're not going to turn your program around. We've seen this. We've seen these guys go somewhere else and do nothing. Denver's swinging for the fences. You're right. Now we got Minnesota trying to swing for the fences with Harbaugh.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up.
And Payton now is an interesting one. Does he sit out a year and then, open up, where he wants to go? And maybe it's Dallas. But if he goes to Dallas, he's not going to get control. He's got to go somewhere where he's going to get complete control. So it's going to be interesting to see where this thing lies. Does Payton go to Jacksonville? Does Leftwich go to Jacksonville?
Well, Peyton, first of all, Peyton's not coming back this year. He's going to sit out a year, I think, because I think he's got a little combination of things going on there. I think he's burned out a little bit. 10 years, more than 10 years, and it's 12 years, I think, in the same place.
Yeah. Well, he's lost his quarterback, Brady,
and
why would you? Yeah, exactly.
So he sits out a year. He's going to be the most sought after coach next year and end up the highest paid coach in the NFL for sure, in my mind.
Right. And then where does he go? Where would he go then? What are some of the things that are going to open up? You don't want the Houston. You want something where Detroit can open up, or some of these organizations can open up, but you got to want complete control of it.
Right. He could be looking at even a New York opportunity with the Jets if Salah really falls on his face in year 2. Who knows? And then he's got a quarterback too. So we'll see. There's going to be a year from now, the landscape's going to be totally different than what we think it is today. So, and there's still other openings. You mentioned Jacksonville. I don't know whether Byron Leftwich overplayed his hand there. I mean, the reports were that he'd gotten the job on Wednesday, but nothing had gotten finalized. He made some demands about the GM. He wanted Balky out of there, and Wilson brought in, which did end up happening. But he was really, I think, may have overplayed his hand there a little bit, and maybe they're just waiting to sign him now because they don't want to, upstage the playoff games this weekend. But what are your thoughts there as far as Jacksonville and some of the other openings? We still got openings, as Drew says, in New Orleans, Miami, Minnesota, Jacksonville, Houston, and Vegas. So we still got a lot of stuff. Vegas is rumored to be after Josh McDaniel, hot and heavy. We'll see what happens there. But what are your thoughts on some of that stuff I just threw out there?
Well, yeah, there's a lot. And the real question is what's going to go on in Miami? I think Harbaugh will get one of these jobs. I'm surprised the Minnesota one has come up.
I'm surprised this is his first interview. This is really the first interview he's going to have.
Yeah, but why would you go to Minnesota? I mean, I can't see Harbaugh in Minnesota. Harbaugh to me, signifies Miami, Vegas. Yeah. These are places where I can see Harbaugh. Big cities. I just don't see him in Minnesota. It doesn't strike me. It's like, kind of coaching in Detroit. No disrespect, but that's where I look at it with that. As far as, Flores could resurface somewhere, a former Dolphins coach, because a lot of people are thinking, this guy got a raw deal in Miami.
Yeah, I don't know that he's going to want the jobs that are left open, though. He may sit out a year now. I don't know. We'll see. I think he's a really good coach, and we talked about a couple of times with some other situations, a situation here locally with the NCAA hockey team at Union, letting their coach step down because of allegations he's too tough and players don't like the practices. And
oh gosh,
it's become and again, Flores Tua didn't like him. He was too hard on Tua, and now the coach is gone. They made their choice, and I think the Miami Dolphins may regret this for years to come.
Yeah, no, definitely. And another big news that's going to take place this week is the Redskins name change.
Yeah, Groundhog Day.
Yeah, we're going to find out. I think they'll be called the Admirals. I think that's where they're going to go with it. That's what I'm going to stick with.
It's one of the most highly rumored names is the Admirals. I know the Commodores are up there, but I think Billy Pulver mentioned that earlier.
There's no water near there.
I still think they should go with the Sentinels, and from the replacements. I think that's
somebody was saying the Senators, and I go, come on, man, it's not baseball.
Yeah,
what do you mean the Senators?
Nobody needs to be reminded they're senators in Washington as this much anyway.
Jesus, yeah,
that's the real Senators are bad enough. We don't need more. Let's see.
Yeah, exactly. That's going to be interesting.
So, Rick saying you don't think the Twin Cities is a bag city? I'm not sure what that means, Rick.
No, the Twin City. This guy needs more of he needs a big city atmosphere. I mean, come on, man. I'm not going to coach in Minnesota.
He must mean big city. Yeah, I get it. No.
Yeah, I'm not going to coach in a small city. I need a big city. I mean, if I'm Harbaugh, I need Miami. I need Vegas. I need LA. I need New York. I need the big cities. I don't need, Minnesota and Detroit and all these other type of cities.
Well, that only leaves
This guy's ego's big. He needs to be, Minnesota can't fit his ego.
That only leaves one option if he's coming back to the NFL this year, because Vegas is the only team that fits your description, because Miami's already taken themselves out of the Harbaugh sweepstakes. Well, at least
Vegas would be an interesting one. And then what do you do with these quarterbacks? Rodgers could be going to Denver. First choice, Pittsburgh's up there. Second choice, boy, Pittsburgh's. Yeah. When you look at the Steelers, man, we're gonna see the end of an era. Colbert's out. Roethlisberger's gone. I mean, this is gonna get interesting in Pittsburgh.
It's interesting you bring up Roethlisberger because of the news about Tom Brady yesterday. I mean, it's Roethlisberger, again, not on the same level as Tom Brady, but two quarterbacks of their stature walking away in the same year. If Brady, in fact, walks away, obviously there's some dispute about what's going on there. But what are your thoughts on both those guys? I mean, we're never going to see a guy like Tom Brady have a career like that ever again, in my mind.
No, I'll tell you, man, 7 Super Bowls. I mean, unbelievable. 2 NFL MVPs, set the bar. Boy, how do you pick up the pieces in Tampa? I mean, when you look at Arians, what's he going to do? He's trying to go get Carson Wentz there.
Yeah.
But, man, oh, man, we have seen the last of the desperados coming through a city, man, that could just – the gunslinger. And, man, it's like watching, the old John Wayne movies.
Yeah.
This is an icon. This is a legend, man. I don't care what you have with Mahomes and all these other guys. This is these two guys that hung it up this year. They're unbelievable, man, and it's going to be a while before we see guys like this, and you'll never see another Brady.
No, and if Tom Brady does, in fact, hang them up, which is still up in the air, Tom Brady needs to make the announcement. I don't care who else reports it. ESPN can say whatever they want, and Brady's obviously ticked off that it's leaked out. But if he, in fact, retires, I wouldn't be surprised to see a week later Bruce Arians step down as well, because the cupboard's going to be pretty bare there. They got some cap problems and no quarterback. It's kind of same as New Orleans, and it's going to be ugly there in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, who wins that division? I mean, the division's pretty bad, and
Atlanta now all of a sudden looks pretty good.
Yeah, Atlanta and Carolina are feeling pretty darn good.
Yeah. The last thing I want to chat with you about quickly this morning, Mark, is the Baseball Hall of Fame voting. I've got a problem. I've got a big, I've had a vlog the last 2 weeks. First, I don't think you can have a Hall of Fame without Bonds and Clemens, and you put, or Pete Rose and Shoeless Joe Jackson for that matter. These guys need to be in a Hall of Fame, warts and all. You put on there that if they cheated, they cheated. But they're some of the greatest players in baseball. And even if you say, I can't put those guys in because of the steroids or whatever, you can't then turn around and put in Big Papi, who's got the same kind of rumors floating around him for his entire career. I don't get it. You can't tell me David Ortiz is a better player than Barry Bonds in any way, shape, or form. So it becomes a personality thing because he was popular with the press and Bonds wouldn't talk to the press, or Clemens was surly with the press. So I don't.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I was blessed enough to interview Bonds quite a few times, and a lot of people would tell me before I interview him, the guy's an ass and this and that. And I go, that's okay, thank you very much. And I took my chances, and he was good to me. I will tell you this: baseball likes it both ways, and you can't have it both ways. You stood there, and the sport was resurrected by these guys chasing home runs, the Sosas, the McGuires, the Bonds. Selig had a front row seat, and people go the game. Yeah, and baseball looked the other way. When they stopped the car, Bud Selig said, "Hey, listen, I didn't know they were going in there to rob the bank. I was just sitting in there driving," which was absolute bull. So when you look at baseball, the other thing is everybody was watching the game of baseball back then when it was resurrected after the strike. People were watching it, the home run chase left and right. Nobody's watching the game now.
Yeah.
So why are we vilifying these guys that saved the game and keeping them out of the Hall of Fame when nobody was watching the game now and these guys saved the game from before? It just doesn't make sense. And when you look at it, there's a lot of guys in this Hall of Fame that don't even belong in the Hall of Fame that are in the Hall of Fame. So I think it's a popularity contest. I think the baseball writers, throw their 2 cents in on this thing, and it's just a perception factor. But, to stand here and keep guys out that saved the sport and have resurrected it is absolutely ludicrous. And the only thing with Big Papi got it is Big Papi was a little more popular with the media than these guys.
Exactly.
But, how do you keep the home run hitter out, the all-time hits leader out, and the guy that had 7 Cy Youngs out?
It's ridiculous. And Kenny mentions that, there's already stories are already in the Hall of Fame because we don't know who was using and who wasn't. That's the problem. You can't make your own judgments. And to me, the Baseball Hall of Fame has one job, and that's to tell the story and the history of baseball. And these guys are a big part of that story and that history. All the guys that I mentioned. And if you've got to put on their plaque that they were suspected of doing steroids, then do that. I don't have a problem with that. Or he bet on baseball and was banned for life in Pete Rose's case. But you cannot have a Hall of Fame. And look, it's also Pete Rose, for instance, is all over the Hall of Fame. He's everywhere you go there. He just doesn't have a plaque.
Yeah.
So, the baseball, Major League, and again, it's not Major League Baseball because they're not affiliated with the Hall of Fame. This is an organization that's starting to kind of lose its relevance in my mind. With some look at the
clown show, if you ask me.
Yeah, I mean, some of the guys, as you said, the people the Veterans Committee are putting in. Harold Baines is in the Hall of Fame. Come on, nice player, but it's not the Hall of Very Good. It's the Hall of the Fame. It's the best. It's not Gil Hodges. Love Gil Hodges. Sorry, he's not a Hall of Famer compared to some of these other guys.
No, you're definitely right. And what about Dave Parker? How come Dave Parker, he had the best arm in baseball besides Roberto Clemente? How come he ain't in the Hall of Fame?
Kirby Puckett's in there, and Don Mattingly isn't. And their numbers are exactly the same, basically. I mean, I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't get it. Anyway, Mark, we're going to wrap it up. What do you got going on this week?
Well, this week on Thursday, Bert Blyleven, Hall of Fame 300 winner, joins the Philadelphia show.
Nice.
That should be interesting. And that'll be a barn burner. And then one of the shows, I think, has Jack Perconti, former Mariner. And
I remember Jack.
Yeah. We got to get you on the show, baby, man. We've been looking to get you on that Philly show.
I'm going to give Marianne a call. I may have to wait till after I get back from vacation because there's so much going on, but I will. Yeah,
you're going on vacation when?
I will be off. When do I leave? I leave on the 10th and I'm back on the 21st, and I'm probably going to do something quickly on a Sunday from the ship. I may invite you in. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. I don't know what time of day I can do it. I may have to pre-record it and play it Sunday morning. But I'm going to do something.
Little breakfast brunch, maybe.
Yeah,
little omelets and stuff.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. And listen, put in a good word for me with Bert Blyleven. I've been trying to get him forever on TGI Sports Talk.
Wow. Okay.
I've been chasing.
Yeah, definitely.
I've been stalking him around Facebook forever.
Okay. I will.
A good word for me. I appreciate that. All right, Mark.
I love you, buddy. You gotta get Patty on your show, man. His wife, man.
We'll bring her in on a Sunday morning one day. We'll bring her in with you on.
Okay, my brother. Have a blessed one. I love you.
Enjoy the games, Mark. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Mark Mancini from Mancini Media. We got to wrap this up because I can't go over 2 hours or I can't share the show. So thank you, guys. So many comments today. Help me carry me through my week. Oh, God, I'm so tired of the week this morning. So I appreciate it. All the comments. I can't name everybody. Perry Paul, thanks for coming in for the first time today. It was awesome to have you. Rick, great to have you. Kenny, Allen. I don't know who I'm forgetting. Tim Ott, good to see you. Drew, thank you. Drew coming in. And you guys' comments are carrying me today. So I really appreciate it. In fact, you help me every Sunday. So I appreciate that. Keep it up. Keep viewing. Roku viewers, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys Wednesday night with the College Sports Huddle. And next week with Stream of Consciousness. Catch you later. Bye-bye.